All right, well, Skip, everything, how have you settled in, what has gone on the last month, and just would you sum up the time since the hiring came official?
Yeah, mainly it was hiring my staff, trying to figure out who I wanted, with the group, a bunch of interviews that went on. Majority of it is tough because a lot of the good coaches are in other organizations, right? And so you're trying to get them, and so luckily I got who I wanted for the most part. It's almost done. Maybe a couple more hires, but the bench coach is done, the hitting is done, pitching group was important to keep, and so really happy how it all turned out.
Which has been the toughest of the positions to fill?
Probably the hitting side. Yeah, that took a while to get right, and when you're asking for permission, that also is tough. But really lucky we got Brant Brown on board, and to me, the Dodgers are like the envy of most major league offenses, and him being able to develop our system not only at the major league level but at the minor league level, it was going to be huge for us, and I'm excited for our guys to start.
Obviously, each guy is different, but what was kind of the certain characteristic that you were looking in each of them to put together your team, and what type of profile you were looking to have in those guys to finish your coaching staff?
Yeah, first I wanted a good person. You have to be high character. I bet on good people for the most part. The baseball stuff, me, good people, then good baseball. And luckily everybody that we hired has both, and both qualities. So, I definitely would not hire a really good baseball guy if they were a bad person. So that was important to me. Built-in relationships in some capacity were important. So whether it was I coached with them, played with them, or had a really good friend or former teammate that trusted in this particular coach was important to me as well.
You mentioned played with them. What role does John Jay play in that? And what could he be as an asset?
Former teammate, knows what winning looks like, World Series champion, knows what I think a guy like John Jay has been coaching for the last 3 or 4 years of his career, honestly. He's that type of person, knew when to bring in the young guys, get them out early, whether it was the base running or the outfield or tuck hitting. John Jay was really important to me, Miami kid, lives, he said, 10 minutes away from the stadium, had built-in relationships with a lot of the players already. A good friend of mine, I know he knows what I'm about, and I think is a guy that's going to hold, everyone accountable. And I think John Jay is a rising star as far on the coaching side, and I'm lucky that we got him first.
On the introductory press conference, you mentioned just how the coaches have to outwork the players. How much of an impact can you guys have as a coaching staff to maybe bump that win total? Let's say the roster stayed the same.
Yeah.
With those guys, how much of an impact can you guys actually have?
Well, that's our job. Our job is to get guys better. Your job isn't just to show up and watch the game. It's our job is to get whoever players Kim gives us better, to get the best version out of them. It's not the easiest thing to do, right? That's why there's so many hires and fires every single year, and that's just the reality of this game. But that's why we hired the best coaches that I think that can do that. And hopefully we can have some really good years out of these kids.
You mentioned when we talked to you back in the intro that you were having the conversations with players. How has dialogue been going with the roster? What's been your central message to them, and any conversations from the other end, from the players' end?
A few things. I think there's excitement about the new coaches that have been hired. I think not the majority, but a lot of the kids are disappointed in, or I keep saying kids, but the kids to me, but a lot of the players are disappointed in their years, some embarrassed by their seasons, and are looking to rebound. And I think that's motivation is a scary drug. And I think having guys that are upset about their previous year helps a coach, because we see some things that can help them, and they're willing to listen, and not happy about the year before, that there's not a bad thing about that, that's for sure.
On the hitting side of things, I think that's where the industry would recognize the Marlins pitching as being among the top, and the hitting was sort of the issue. Bringing in Brant, is there more of an extent than just on Major League side, and what do you think that he could do potentially to help perhaps some of those things?
Yeah, I see the hitting as like a hitting department, right? Like, I know there's a number 1, 2, 3, or whatever, but I really feel like it's a department, and this is what we should be doing as an organization, and not cookie cut it, but have a real philosophy. Brant has that. First of all, he has good feel. He can talk to you as a player, and not just like drill you on something and this is how it is and this is how it's going to be. Talking with a lot of guys, that have played under Brant as a hitting guy, they know that they're going to be super prepared. They know there's certain drills that can help with a guy that needs bat speed or the guy that needs to get the ball off the ground, whatever it is. There's different drills for everybody, and I think it needs to be an organizational philosophy. And I think Brant is going to be able to deliver that for us.
You also mentioned, when you get introduced, the importance of having someone who could speak Spanish with the Latin guys. By having Urueta next to you, how big that's going to be with him in that role? Yeah,
I mean, I think Arizona is a very tough team to play against. They run the bases the right way. They play hard. You have to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. And, having been in San Diego for a number of years and facing Arizona, I know what he's all about. I know he holds the guys accountable. I know how he gets the best version of those guys out of them. And so that was a big hire for me. I respect him, always have. I think he's going to be a big league manager one day. But for right now, I have a really good bench coach. And, I had such a good relationship with Ollie Marmol last year. I was searching for that. That's kind of what I wanted. And thank God he was available and I got to get him.
Skip, you mentioned Ollie. How did your 1 year with him, you were so close together, prepare you for this role now? What did you learn from him?
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, not micromanaging. Ollie was not a micromanager. He let the coaches that he hired coach. The relationship that I had, I didn't know Ollie on a personal level until he hired me and went through the hiring process. And I knew right away that, like, if you're going to spend the most time with somebody, you got to really like them and be on the same page. And Ollie and I were on the same page. And my weaknesses were his strengths and vice versa. And that's why I think it works so well. And that's a lot what I see with Pipe. Same way with Louis. But the micromanaging was probably the number one thing that I took away. It was like, we hired you to coach, do it well, and we'll see what happens. And that's what Ollie did, and that's what I took away most from it.
Skip, Matt Holliday well. He's stepping into the job you had before. Have you had him talked, and how do you think he'll do in that?
Yeah, he's gonna be terrible. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way he's gonna replace me. No, he's great. Yeah, I love Matt. He's gonna be amazing at it. He's could have been a big league, bench coach or manager years ago if he wanted to be, and what a great spot for him to be in. Obviously, it's a really good team that he, just like I got onto last year. I inherited that type of team, but Matt's only going to make them better. He made me better as a player, and he's going to make every one of those guys play better. So it was a great hire by Ollie for sure.
Skip, his personality role. How different is he going to be as a bench coach than you were as a bench coach? I mean, you guys share obviously some competitiveness, but
yeah,
y'all not the same.
No, I think that seat is different. It just is. From being a player, then jumping on to be a first base coach is different, and then from first base to bench coach is different. So there's a lot of learning. Running a spring training, luckily he's got some guys that can help him in Poggy's great over there, and Stubby is really good at running the infield, and obviously Willie in the outfield. So he's got a lot of good guys around him in place that can really help. But Matt he'll figure it out. He's got good work ethic, good feel. I think the challenge, will be just like, bullpen matchups and that kind of thing when Ollie gets kicked out, because he's going to get kicked out and the game gets fast. And so I think that's going to be, the main challenge is like, how are you going to run a game? But, Matt's going to be fine. He's a pro.
Looking ahead a bit, just, when spring training comes around, you have the World Baseball Classic, you got the introduction of new rules. How much of a challenge is that going to be with guys might be on, camp, they might be elsewhere?
It's going to be a challenge for a rookie manager because I don't know the guys yet, right? You can you can do a bunch of calls and you can go meet with lunches and but like actually getting your eyes on them in a bullpen or a real game setting, it's definitely a challenge at WBC. So you got to lean on a lot of the guys that were here, the front office and their takes, and watch the WBC. You know, I'm excited that they get to join it, but as a rookie manager, selfishly, I'm like, why this year, you know? But we have a lot of guys playing in it. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for them to come back healthy. That's number one. And then as far as the rules, yeah, I think it's new for everybody. We have Rod Barajas, Griffin Benedict, Jody Reed, guys on my staff were in the minor leagues last year. As far as like the run game and the bases and that type of stuff. So I'm going to lean on them and try to figure that out, just like probably everybody else is trying to figure it out.
Skip, what has been the interaction between you and Kim as the offseason goes out, trying to figure out the roster stuff, and how involved are you with possible decisions and just that back and forth between you guys trying to figure things out?
I think it's always dangerous when a player or plays GM. I think that's a very dangerous move. I try to give her some ideas, and if she asks me questions, then I'll give her my take on it. But she has a staff built around her that is looking at every way for us to get better. If there's questions, I'll give it to her, but I'm not giving her like a list of 10 guys like we have to get in one of these guys. That's just not my personality. It's not my job. But I'm here to any question she needs, obviously I'm going to give it to her, my take.
Yeah, Skip, a hitting question and a pitching question. On the former, bringing in a new hitting program, was a stronger emphasis on hitting analytics and like body movement profiles, a specific focus?
Yeah, body movement is big. Incorporating the training staff with the hitting department is a big deal. I know the preparation component is a big deal. So the Brant checks every single box as far as that's concerned. Analytically, you give guys what they can handle. Some guys want it all. Paul Goldschmidt wanted every single heat map in whatever it was possible. There's other guys that were like, just let me get in the box and hit. So you got it. Everybody's different, and you don't want to overemphasize the analytic stuff if the player can't digest it.
Okay, and on the pitching side, top prospect Yuri Perez. Why is he as good as he is, and what are your thoughts on quote-unquote fast-tracking young talent in the big leagues?
Why is he as good? I mean, he's got an arm that you can't teach. So, I mean, that's number one. He's a big kid, and I would say his delivery is as repeatable as you want, as simple as you want. And so I think it's going to play and fast-track quicker than most. I will say that if a pitcher is ready and he can command the fastball and has pitch command, I think that's number one. Stuff up here doesn't play. It's got to be pitchability and stuff. It's got to be a combination because if you just have stuff and you walk guys, we're going to lose. So stuff doesn't mean anything to me as long as if you have to pitch. I think a guy like him can fast track. I think you look at a number of different things: health, number of innings they've had the previous couple of years, and can he help us win? Does he help us win in the bullpen? Does he help us win the rotation? What's that look like moving forward? But I think it's you can't just rush him right now to say he's going to be in the rotation or in the bullpen. We are really excited about where he's at.
Skip, you look at the NL East at large. You saw what top three teams making the playoffs last year. A couple of top teams already making some big moves here. You see what the payrolls are. What's the challenge of that on your side to be able to compete in the division, and where do you get the confidence that you guys can compete in the East?
Yeah, I mean, I still really like our rotation. I think that we just had our staff in the room in the suite and going over a lot of the new coaches that came over, going over our pitching staff, and our pitching staff is real, right? The depth is real. I think the challenge for us is keeping guys healthy is number one. Number two is what kind of depth do we have? Last year in St. Louis we had Newbar and Donovan came up a lot, right? We had guys that came up in case we were hurt. In case guys were hurt, we had guys ready. Do we have enough big league guys ready in AAA and AA, to help us, at the major league? We have to nail the PD side. The player development has to be good and has to get better. That's just the reality. When you have a payroll like we have, competing against monsters in the East, we have to really be good at the guys. That's what I took away a lot from my St. Louis days is we had a lot of St. Louis guys on the field every single day. It wasn't just a bunch of big name free agents, and so we have to be really good at that part. But getting our own guys better. I mean, that's just the reality. We have to get better, and hopefully I hired the right staff around me to do that.
Do you think a schedule that increases the amount of games played within the division and fans it out more will end up offering a truer kind of representation of a team?
I think it's really good for the fans, that's for sure, for everybody to come in and see different teams play. But yeah, I do think I liked interleague when I was a player. I liked interleague as a coach, and you get to see the other divisions and other ballparks and see where you stack up, and it's not just in the playoffs. So yeah, I think it's great for the fan base. It's not great for the coaches because you got to now game plan against 29 other teams, so it's a lot more work. But as far as like the players getting excited to play different teams, different stadiums, yeah, I think it's great all the way around.
Skip, you have a couple guys playing down there in the Dominican and other in the Caribbean. How much are you following that, and how important you think it could be for them to play the whole season there, knowing also that you played winter ball?
Yeah, winter ball's important. I think it's important. I think everybody should play winter ball. It helped me in my career. Sanchi down there, it's going to be a big winter for him. De La Cruz is having a nice year down there. There's guys that I don't think it tells the whole story. If you have a bad winter league, it's not like, oh, you're not going to be good in spring training. But I think it's important to get down there and play against bigger crowds, tough competition. So I think all of that is important, especially if you're young in your career. I went when I was in AA, so I think that part is really important. But I don't think it tells the whole story. If you have a bad winter, it's not like it just carries over and have a bad season.
Have you identified? You said a few guys were sort of, I think you used the word embarrassed about the season they had last year. Is there that you've identified maybe as a bounce back candidate for 2023, or is it still early before?
Yeah, no, Avi is one of those guys that's not happy about how his season went, and he felt like he wasn't in shape enough to play a full season, and came in not ready for like he should have been. Could have been the lockout, a number of different things. But I feel like he's the number one guy that I'm most excited about. Had dinner with him. He looks great. He's been hitting already. He's been working with John Jay in the outfield stuff already. So the guy is extremely motivated and not real happy about how his season went about. And so I'm looking forward to see what he looks like in spring.
Skip, some of those two more questions. Some of those Cardinal guys said they're looking forward to trash talking you and the other dugout in spring training. What do you think spring training will be like, facing that team 6-7 times or whatever?
Yeah, I expect to win every single game. No, it's going to be fun. I mean, a lot of those guys, they're all friends, right? I mean, they're all buddies of mine, and we had such a good run. It was a fun season last year, lifelong friends, and so a healthy trash talk is a good trash talk, and we'll have a lot of fun in spring training.
Have you ever gone through the other entrance of Roger to the stadium?
No, it's going to be for no, that's it. Instructional league, maybe. That was it. Like, that was a long time, in 2001, so maybe. But, no, it's been a long time.
Good? Thank you.
Good? All right, thanks.
Soy Juan Bené. Les invito a que sintonicen la máquina deportiva. No se van a perder ni una en el deporte.